Hey there, Ruth Haven Grounds family. You know that feeling when you've just built the perfect raised garden bed, installed beautiful cedar fence posts, or crafted custom trellises for your climbing beans, only to watch them slowly succumb to rot, insects, and weathering over the next few seasons. It's heartbreaking, not to mention expensive. I've been there more times than I care to admit, and I know many of you have too. But here's something that changed everything for me, an old farmer's formula that's been passed down through generations, long before big box stores started selling chemical-laden wood preservatives. This natural wood treatment has protected barn beams, fence posts, and garden structures for over a century, and today, I'm sharing it with you. No fancy equipment needed, no toxic chemicals that'll leach into your soil, just simple ingredients that work with nature instead of against it. Before we dive into the solution, let's talk about why outdoor wood deteriorates so quickly in our gardens. Understanding the enemy helps us fight it better. Wood rot happens when three conditions meet: moisture, oxygen, and the right temperature range for fungi to thrive. Your garden is basically a perfect storm for all three. We're watering regularly, the wood breathes in our humid air, and temperatures fluctuate in that sweet spot where decay fungi absolutely love to party. Then there are the insects. Carpenter ants, termites, and wood-boring beetles see your untreated cedar posts as an all-you-can-eat buffet. And don't even get me started on how UV rays break down the lignin in wood, turning that beautiful golden hue into weathered gray splinters. Most commercial preservatives work by poisoning the wood with copper, arsenic compounds, or synthetic pesticides. Sure, they're effective, but do you really want those chemicals near the tomatoes you're growing for your family? I didn't think so. That's exactly why this old-time formula is so brilliant. It creates an environment where rot and insects simply don't want to be, without introducing anything harmful to your soil ecosystem. Alright, let's get to what you're really here for. This farmer's formula uses three simple ingredients: linseed oil, turpentine, and pine tar. That's it. Each ingredient plays a specific role in protecting your wood, and together they create something far more effective than the sum of their parts. Linseed oil, also called flaxseed oil, penetrates deep into the wood fibers and polymerizes over time, creating a water-resistant barrier from within. It's been used since ancient times to preserve everything from Viking ships to medieval castle beams. The beauty of linseed oil is that it doesn't just coat the surface, it actually becomes part of the wood structure, feeding and conditioning the fibers while blocking moisture. Alright, so turpentine acts as a carrier solvent, thinning the mixture so it can penetrate even deeper into the wood grain. Plus it actually has some natural antifungal and insect-repelling properties, which is pretty neat. Real turpentine comes from pine tree resin, so we're still keeping everything natural here. And as it evaporates after application, it leaves behind the protective oils, having done its job of opening up the wood's pores. Now, pine tar is the secret weapon. This thick, sticky substance has been protecting wooden ships for centuries. It adds incredible water resistance, creates a barrier against UV damage, and its strong scent naturally repels insects. Pretty impressive stuff if you ask me. When you mix pine tar with linseed oil and turpentine, it becomes workable while still retaining all its protective qualities. That's what makes this combination so effective for wood protection. Now, I've experimented with different ratios over the years, and honestly, I've found that the perfect balance really depends on what you're treating. For general garden use, think raised beds, trellises, fence posts, I use a ratio of 3 parts linseed oil, 2 parts turpentine, and 1 part pine tar. This creates a mixture that's thin enough to penetrate well, but substantial enough to provide some serious protection. Mix these ingredients in a metal container, never plastic, because turpentine can react with some plastics. I use an old paint can that I've dedicated to this purpose. Stir thoroughly with a wooden stick until the pine tar is completely dissolved into the oils. This might take a few minutes of stirring, and you might need to gently warm the mixture if you're working in cooler weather. I sometimes set my can in a larger container of hot water, which helps everything blend smoothly without direct heat. That could be a fire hazard. For wood that's going to be in constant ground contact, like fence posts, I increase the pine tar ratio slightly, going with 3 parts oil, 1.5 parts turpentine, and 1.5 parts tar. This extra tar content provides more robust protection against the constant moisture challenge. Here's where most people go wrong. They treat this like paint, brushing a coat on the surface and calling it done. That's not going to cut it. For this formula to work its magic, you need to let the wood drink it in. Start with clean, dry wood. If you're treating old wood, scrub off any dirt, algae, or loose fibers with a stiff brush. New wood should be aged for a few weeks if possible, allowing any mill moisture to escape. The drier your wood, the better it'll absorb the treatment. Apply your mixture generously with a natural bristle brush, working it into the grain. Don't be stingy. You want the wood to be saturated. Pay special attention to end grains, which are like straws that suck up moisture. I literally let the end grain soak in a tray of the mixture for several minutes. For posts going in the ground, I let the bottom third sit in a bucket of the formula overnight. After your first coat, wait about 24 hours. The wood will have soaked up a surprising amount. Next, apply a second coat, again working it in thoroughly. For high exposure pieces, I do a third coat after another day. You'll know you've applied enough when the wood stops readily absorbing the mixture and it starts to pool on the surface. This isn't instant gratification, folks. After application, your wood needs time to cure properly. The turpentine will evaporate over the first few days, and you'll notice the smell dissipating. The linseed oil begins its polymerization process, which can take 2 to 3 weeks to fully harden. During this time, keep your treated wood in a covered, ventilated area. You want air circulation, but not direct rain. I usually treat my wood pieces in early spring, at least a month before I need to install them. This gives everything time to cure completely. The patience is absolutely worth it. Properly cured wood using this formula can last, 20 to 30 years in garden conditions. I've got raised beds that are going on 15 years without a single sign of rot. Let me share some specific ways I use this formula around Roothaven grounds. My raised garden beds get treated before assembly, with extra attention to the inside surfaces that'll contact soil. I also run a bead of the mixture along all joints before screwing boards together, creating a seal that prevents water from wicking into connections. For my wooden trellises and arbors, I treat them annually in fall after the growing season. A light refresher coat keeps them looking beautiful and protected. The treatment actually ages into a lovely honey brown patina that I find far more attractive than weathered gray wood. Fence posts are where this formula really proves its worth. I treat the entire post but give the bottom third that overnight soak I mentioned earlier. Posts treated this way and set in gravel for drainage have outlasted untreated posts by decades in my experience. Even tool handles benefit from this treatment. A yearly wipe down of your shovel, hoe, and rake handles with this mixture keeps them from drying out and cracking. And, they develop a wonderful smooth patina that's just so comfortable to grip. Let's talk money, because that really matters. A gallon of this mixture costs about $30 to $40 to make, depending on where you source the ingredients. That gallon will treat approximately 80 to 100 square feet of wood with 2 coats, or about 25 fence posts, with proper soaking. Compare that to replacing rotted garden beds every 5 years, or buying pressure-treated lumber at premium prices, and this formula pays for itself many times over. Plus, you're investing in wood that's safe for organic gardening, which you can't say about most commercial treatments. While this formula is natural, it's not without precautions. Work in a well-ventilated area because, turpentine fumes can be strong. Wear gloves to protect your skin and keep the mixture away from open flames. It's flammable until the turpentine evaporates. Store any leftover mixture in a sealed metal container in a cool, dry place away from children and pets. Environmentally, this formula is remarkably benign compared to synthetic preservatives. Once cured, it doesn't leach harmful chemicals into your soil. The ingredients break down naturally over many years without creating toxic byproducts. Your earthworms, beneficial microbes, and all those hard-working soil organisms will thank you. Sometimes the mixture seems too thick or, sometimes too thin. If it's too thick, just add a bit more turpentine, but if it's too thin, it won't provide enough protection, so go ahead and add more pine tar or linseed oil. The consistency you're aiming for is, well, similar to heavy cream. It should flow easily, but still have some body to it. If you notice your treated wood isn't absorbing well, chances are the wood might be too wet. Just let it dry out for another week or two and that should do the trick. Sometimes old wood develops a surface layer that, just resists absorption. A light sanding opens up the pores and, well, solves this problem. Sticky surfaces after application usually mean you applied too much pine tar relative to the oils, or maybe you didn't allow enough curing time. Just give it another week, and the tackiness should resolve. If not, you can wipe the surface with a rag dampened with turpentine to remove any excess. There you have it, friends, the farmer's timeless formula that's protected outdoor wood for generations and honestly, will protect yours too. This isn't complicated chemistry or expensive technology. It's simple, effective, time-tested wisdom that puts control back in your hands while keeping your garden safe and natural. I'd love to hear how this formula works for you. Have you tried it before? Are you planning to mix up a batch this spring? Drop your experiences, questions, or results in the comments below. And if you found this article valuable, please subscribe to Ruthhaven Grounds and share it with your fellow gardeners. Together we're building a community that values sustainable, practical solutions that honor both tradition and the earth. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and keep those garden structures standing strong for years to come.